Yeah, the video we're gonna watch. Make sure you put it on TikTok.
Oh, I will in a sec.
But yeah, if you're on TikTok, you can watch the video a little bit better on Twitch and YouTube.
Yep. 1 second. I just want to make sure the audio pipes through.
Oh yeah, you gotta check that pipe out
with the pipe wire.
Yeah.
Front, left.
Yeah. Okay, it's coming through.
And it said front right for me.
Well, for you, yes, because what I have it do is I have pipe wire with that little script. Read between the lines. Okay, so for God damn it!
And vacation rentals, Booking.com has something for everyone.
You got anything more?
Good job.
Okay, so for those of you not aware, apparently PewDiePie made a Linux video talking about I installed Linux, so should you, and it was interesting to see a guy that wasn't a tech guy, or he doesn't proclaim himself to be a tech guy, talk about you should use Linux.
Does he have purple RGB?
Probably. It's you're having this whole turning of the corner moment, because I remember it was a few years ago when people were like, dude, Linux is never even going to be, you know, like, I mean, yes, you can have your complaints about like Linux for some use cases, like even with Windows, I have to use the Elgato.
Dude, I always get all the crap when I'm like, they're like, oh, yeah, it just works. I was like, no, I normally have to figure a workaround when I do mine.
Yeah.
But honestly, that's like, I would say like 5% of the games that I play.
Yeah. And like, it's very viable now if you want to use Linux. And I think Windows 11 pissed off a lot of people, that it's actually making a lot of people consider alternatives to Windows. And Microsoft, I think, really dropped the ball in that regard.
Yeah, but the problem is that they've got enough market share that honestly, and like people are so, it's like Apple. You know, people who are on Apple, they're not going to leave Apple.
Well, at the end of the day, Microsoft makes most of its money from enterprise than it does the end user.
Yeah, but the end user's still going to use Windows.
Yeah,
You'll get like a little bit of a switch, but that'll take like that. The rate that we're going, like projecting out, you're probably looking at like at least 20 years till Linux has a sizable market share.
We'll see. You know, things have happened, but like you also look at like the computer market and everything. This is probably the longest period of like a monolithic culture we've had. Because like if you remember when we were kids, like there was a lot of options. There wasn't just Mac and Windows. There was BOS, there was Linux, you even had straight Unix, you had Sun OS, you had all these different options, and then Microsoft
down.
Well, Microsoft was a bully on the playground, if we remember.
It was, but at the same time, a lot of those were primarily focused at like one thing very well, and that kind of drained out when Microsoft came in and said, hey, look, here's Windows 95. Guess what you can do?
Well, Windows 95 was kind of interesting, although it's kind of funny to read that Steve Ballmer said, I don't know what this TCP IP stack is, but just install it so they can stop bothering me. Like, that tells you how far behind Windows was at the time, because TCP IP is now a ubiquitous thing.
Yeah.
And Windows before 95, you had to install Trumpet to get IP working.
Before you get into this, there was actually a really good talk I saw about how TCP has to be abandoned, because if theoretically, if you're interplanetary, it doesn't exactly work.
Oh yeah,
because TCP/IP doesn't work if your lag is like, 3 minutes.
Well, yeah, it wasn't designed for being outside of the world.
Yeah, so like locally you could. But extra locally, you'll they're looking to just abandon it and then work on something else that might actually work interplanetarily.
Yeah, definitely, but we're not there yet. I mean, yeah. But let's see what PewDiePie is gonna say.
Get him drunk and give him a Star of David tattoo.
Little kid.
It's so weird because like last time I watched PewDiePie was that whole like controversy when he almost got like
yeah. You know what? I don't think I've ever watched PewDiePie.
I don't think I really have either. Like, I just saw a couple videos.
I don't think ever.
Me neither. Except for, like, when it was viral, like, the couple moments.
Yeah, okay.
Mac OS. Don't worry.
I kind of am annoyed about the little crackles he has.
Install Linux.
Yeah.
What if I told you can look like this?
And this is
Anyway,
really watching.
Let me start this off.
I
by
hate when
saying
people
I am
get
not a
into
tech guy.
editing
You saw my
and
PC
they, like,
building video.
really.
Is that actual lighting, or is that just
I
him
don't know.
I'm surprised
compensating?
the whole thing hasn't
I
exploded.
No,
think
it's
it's just.
lighting.
I don't
It's
know.
like sitting next to a bomb every day.
He paid
But
extra for
what you
that.
did
Though.
see was
Yeah.
0.5 seconds of the video where I installed Linux on the thing, and a lot of people just went, What? Some people seem surprised and confused.
Turn off my
Something
music. So
possessed him to put Linux on it.
Some people were excited. At the time, I didn't know the power that I had. I was like a baby with a rocket launcher. For years, I have been
That's an
tortured
interesting
by
phrase.
Windows. But now, alas, I am finally free. I escaped the Windows cave.
Overwatch with a
I
penguin.
saw the sun. The shadows are gone.
I think so.
It blinded me for a moment. And now I'm speaking to you in the cave. Enough reference. Okay, so I'm gonna yap about Linux for as long as this video is, and you're gonna listen. I want to start off by going
What
through
is
the
that,
reasons
Da Vinci
why
was
I
using,
switched
or?
to Linux. It's different for everybody. Number one is how backlit this shot is.
Okay, so at least he did realize it's an issue.
Yeah.
Goddamn ads.
Number one, Windows
Subscribe
talks
so I
to
can
me like
afford
I'm
the
a
YouTube
baby.
Premium.
my
I'm
God.
sorry, I might be, but that does not warrant. You want Candy Crush? You want Candy Crush on your computer?
Okay, that is true. I
You
hate
wanna
the
use
fact that Candy
Bing?
Crush is on there, and that's a big
Yeah.
reason why I always install
Are you
Enterprise.
sure you want to delete
I
that
don't want to
file?
debloat my system
Are
like
you
that.
super duper
Yeah.
sure you want to delete the file? That's how it talks to me, and I don't like it.
Man.
Linux, on the other hand, literally puts a gun in your hand and says,
Yeah. You want to nuke your file system? You can
my
nuke your
first
file
sort of
system.
aha moment when I install Linux or
Windows
started
used to
using
let you
it was,
delete System 32.
wait a minute, it does exactly
Now it's
what
on
I want it to
guardrails.
do. And there's just a really powerful feeling about that. I do want to show you guys my setup as well. I will get into that. But first, reason number two. As an epic minimalist, the bloat. The bloat is real. It always bothered me. Anytime I install a new Windows, I spend
Yeah, but
like
some
an
Linux
hour
does come with a
trying to
bit of bloat.
uninstall
They
all the
do,
pre-patched
but not to the level like
And
Windows.
you can
well,
remove it permanently.
Windows is
you
like
can. Windows you
$8
can't, because like you do an
or
update, it can
whatever for me,
reinstall
but,
everything.
I'm still gonna put ads in here. Yes. Put a little AI in here. You want that, right? That doesn't benefit me.
I hate the fact
For
that
you,
everything
the
has AI
consumer.
included.
Bing. It doesn't benefit
The
me
blockchain
that
of
you use Bing,
2025
but
and 2024.
please use
Oh, yeah.
Bing. Microsoft is an annoying suite, apparently. With Linux, nothing. Serenity. Peace. Don't even get me started on the Windows taskbar.
Yeah, you
Oh,
can
that
add
what's
shit
on your
to make
computer.
stuff start at startup.
Duh. It's
Yeah.
obvious.
Yeah,
How
you,
is this
it,
not a thing?
nothing
You have
starts.
to go to
Reason
startup
number
applications and then
Yes.
modify it, or you can modify your init files or something like that, or systemd.
Customizing
Yeah.
on Linux is a beautiful thing.
I like the fact that you have to
Windows, you can
add
maybe
things
change
in
the
Linux. You don't have to
wallpaper,
remove
change a
things like
little
in
bit of
Windows, and it takes
colors,
more time
they do.
to set up your
Linux,
initial
you can
Windows than it
change
does a Linux.
Reality itself. Since Linux
Yeah.
is built modular, you can swap out your GUI entirely. You don't even have to use one.
I don't know
You
when
can
the last
cut
time I
off the
heard
head of
someone refer
Linux
to
and
it
it'll
as
still be like, hey,
GUI.
I'm here. What's up? Customizing
always
on Linux
GUI.
is called rising, and I got way too into it.
So I heard from a lot of
I
people he did do a
cooked
lot deeper
hard.
than what most people
I
do.
can't wait to show you guys.
Because I'm a
Now, reason number
basic
4,
B and just
gaming.
Yeah.
Install
Gaming on
Pop!
Linux
OS,
is
dark
finally
mode, center
real.
the
Yeah.
bar,
I actually installed Linux
get to the race,
15
put
years
my
ago.
desktop
That's
Super
when
on.
I'm
duper
old.
hacker.
And I
just wanna get to the
uninstalled it
apps,
after,
'cause,
like,
like,
a couple days, as a
the
lot of
app's what I'm
people
mostly
do,
trying to
when
use.
They realized, oh, I can't use the things I need on Linux. And for me, that was gaming back then, because it's like, well, then what's the point?
Yeah, gaming on Linux used to
But
be a
now-
pain. I remember doing that with Doom 3, Enemy
Oh, yeah.
Territory,
So
Quake
Valve
Wars,
came
Quake
in
4,
like Gandalf's in Helm's
with
Deep,
AMD,
with
with
Steam Deck
ATI,
with
FGLRX
So
drivers.
This is a
That was a
perfect
pain.
example how Linux
Yeah, but
benefits
everything's a
everyone.
lot better
The
now,
fact
especially
that
Steam.
Valve, as a
Valve
company,
really.
recognizes
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they
There you go.
simplified a lot.
Microsoft has a bit too much
Barely
power.
configure my
If they
environment that
wanted
much
to and
anymore. I'm
started
all
being
keyboard.
shady,
Well, pretty
locking
much.
things down, taking cuts. They absolutely could, and it's not like it would be uncharacteristic.
Excuse me, they tried Steam OS.
So Valve started improving
back
gaming
in the
on
day.
Linux,
Yeah.
boosted driver support.
But the
and they
original
built
Steam
on what
OS was
already
cool.
there from
But
open source
that got them into
software like
Linux.
Wine. By doing this, Valve benefits.
I think it was-
Wine's not an emulator.
benefits, ecosystem grows. Win.
Literally stands
win,
for that.
Win. It really feels like an alternate reality. This totally could not have been a thing. And it also makes me realize just how many things can be better if people just weren't so greedy. Can we just fix them? So
I
thank
agree
you,
with
Linux,
that.
And thank you, Base Gaben. Now I've gone through the reasons why I switched to Linux. Let me just explain why maybe not switching is a good idea. Because everything good comes with a sacrifice.
Oh yeah.
True. God
Good
damn.
job. You know, I always like when people show me a video on
If
YouTube
you're swapping
and it
to
has
Linux,
ads,
you'll likely
and I'm
have
like,
to give
I always
something
forget that
up.
they have
I
ads.
don't know what it is, but for me, it was Photoshop.
As in,
I used Photoshop again for 15 years.
Okay,
All the
Photoshop.
shortcuts, all my workflow, it's all baked into my brain. The way I use Photoshop, I don't think about it. It's just here's the thumbnail. It's not beautiful, but I get the job done. Unfortunately, Adobe is a garbage company, and their
Totally agree with
software
that.
just won't run on Linux.
Adobe's
A
abused
lot
their
of artists
position
are jumping
really
ship.
badly.
They don't want to use Adobe anymore because they realize it's a terrible company. Me,
I
as
like
well,
Hayden Live
thought,
for my
you
video
know what?
editing. Works pretty
It's
nicely.
time. I'll swap over. I know.
I might go
the
to
open
DaVinci
source
Resolve, but
alternative
Hayden
is
Live's
good.
doing
I've
perfectly
heard
fine
about
for
this
me.
forever, and I thought, it'll feel good. I'll feel good leaving Adobe.
I wonder how much he
So
likes the
I'm
fact that
ready.
he gets to
I
refer
go
to his
their
software as
website,
good.
I click through this 1,000 pages. I crawl through the bushes just to find the goddamn unsubscribe button, and I was so
Canva is
ready. I
really
was gonna
running their
do it.
money on and Microsoft on publishing.
Unsubscribe.
Yeah, I use Canva for my
what
clips
happened?
at least
You know
because
what
it's
happened?
easy for that
They hit
aspect
me
of
with
it.
an
GIMP's a little bit
unsubscription
overpowered for that.
fee.
What?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I forgot. Adobe does the early termination fees and all that janky
yep.
I'm sorry, what?
BS.
I have to pay to not use your software?
Yeah, everybody loves Adobe.
Adobe used to be
It
great.
was like 65
Like back
bucks
when
or
you used to be able to
something.
spend
Insane.
$600, get the software for a lifetime, and then
If anything,
Yeah,
it just made me realize, okay, it's over. I'm never going back. So like I said, the open source alternative is GIMP.
Now I can.
And since this is Linux, open source, you can do whatever you want. I
Mhm.
downloaded this icon pack that changed the icons so they look like the
Yep.
Photoshop icons. That helped a little bit. Then I downloaded a shortcut.
see, I don't think I'd ever do that because I've never used Adobe, so it's not.
Boom,
Well, yeah, if
made it a
you're
little
used to
easier.
it,
you know,
that
I'm still
kind of
not
stuff,
100%
yeah.
used to it, but the fact that I can do stuff like this really helps. For me personally, a worthy sacrifice. I hope this doesn't sound like copium, but genuinely, it feels good that I was able to move on. At the end of the day,
I'm glad that a
tools
lot of
are
people can
only
stick
gonna
it to
work on
Adobe.
Windows and only gonna
Well,
work on Mac.
the big thing
but
is,
what
like,
you gain on Linux is so much more.
Your hatred for
Freedom.
Windows has to
Join
overpower
us.
your
I'm
willingness
just praying
to
that
actually
Adobe's not just
not doing
gonna
it
show up
anyway.
one day and be like, "That's another fee." I'll meet them in a dark alleyway. They'll be like, "That's a little fee." Now that I've convinced you to swap to Linux, you have the wonderful choice of picking a distro. Yay, so many of them. I hear people going like, "I don't know which one to pick. What do I do? There's so many." Just
Yeah,
pick
what?
one.
Oh, yeah, go back.
What?
Go back.
That
There you go. Yeah. All right. So first off,
you don't. I have not even touched like a bunch of these.
so hold on. Hold
Not a
on.
bunch,
First
but a
off,
few of these.
starting off. Okay, purely starting off, fresh to Linux. Don't use Arch.
Yeah, don't. Or Gentoo.
Oh, hold on. We'll go down the list. You can do Debian. Debian is a little bit more intuitive. You need a lot more work, but good. Fedora,
Debian was my second one I did after Slackware, but Slackware was
I
like
haven't used Fedora, so I can't say. I know it's just Red Hat, but without what is it?
it's
It's not
it's
supported.
another
It's not
it's
just
another
support-
RHEL Red Hat Enterprise Linux. Like it's based on that whole model, but it's not IBM slash the Red
but-
Hat
But
Corporation.
they also did something else. Remember there was like that big issue a while ago.
I think that had to do. Are we talking about
No, it was Fedora Red Hat, where Red Hat was like, we're not gonna keep up with the.
Oh yeah, they messed up the repos and stuff.
Yes.
That one, yeah.
Yeah, because they pulled the repos.
That also messed up CentOS and a
Yes.
few other things too. So like all the RHEL types got messed up.
Breastsite Linux. I've-
Foresight, never heard of it. Never
Mm.
used it.
I think he literally just like went to like.
I think he just
Linux.
wanted to get enough to like
Yes.
like never use Slacks.
Well, Gentoo I've installed. That's again not a starter.
Yeah, that's
um,
an investment of time.
Mandriva.
Mandriva. Touched it, not really used it much.
Good, like starter. Good,
Yeah.
no good.
I wouldn't really start
Okay.
with that.
It's
an
Linux
older one.
Mint. I think it can be a good starter one.
It can be, but I think I still have the sour taste from when they got their website, filled with malware and were distributing malicious ISOs. I know it was a few years ago.
Yeah.
It's just still that sour taste in my mouth.
Yeah.
And I feel like it gives some kind of bad habits too.
Yeah.
Because they're
Sure.
still trying to like wade in that Windows and Linux world.
Yeah.
Whereas like I think you need to like get people to understand, like, you're not using Windows anymore. You need to at least be comfortable with that you have the ability to choose a bit more.
Yeah. So anything with Ubuntu is normally beginner. There's
Ubuntu is Ubuntu with KDE.
Yeah.
Ubuntu is a one I've used for many years with
XFCE.
XFCE,
Yeah.
very lightweight. You've also got Lubuntu, which isn't in there, which
and
is LXDE.
Ubuntu Studio.
Ubuntu
which is
Stu-
just Ubuntu.
with all the multimedia and all
Yeah,
that
so
built
if
in.
you're looking into like editing and stuff, like kind of what PewDiePie's doing, Ubuntu Studio is really good for that.
But then again, you can also just nowadays, like, I just grab the app image for Kden Live.
Yeah.
Boom, done. Configure Pipewire as needed. Audacity
as a starter, pretty
yeah,
much.
if you
it's
just need
very
everything
good.
out the box. But the honest truth is, Ubuntu Studio has like almost every tool that it's kind of like the same thing as Kali. That like you're gonna have all these tools and you're not gonna know what the hell to do with most of them.
Yeah. So
it feels a little bloated.
I've never used Slacks. I've heard Slackware. I've never used-
Slackware is one of the OG granddaddy distros. Like one of the first ones. That was one of the first I tried.
So not a good starter one.
It's interesting to play with. It was great back in the day. There's a reason why I moved from Slackware to Debian and Debian types really fast, which, by the way, Ubuntu is a fork of Debian. So it kind of fits into that kind of ethos.
Sabian.
Sabian. That's not really one I think that's still around. I could be mistaken. I haven't really seen it around much.
Me neither. Red Hat, you need to have...
I think Sabian was Gen 2.
Red Hat,
I could be mistaken.
You have to have...
You have to buy a license.
Yes.
But in Enterprise, you will use Red Hat
because
quite often. Well, no. It's not just that. You pay for the support from IBM. So that if anything goes wrong, you can actually get an engineer from IBM to work on it. Yeah. We use it at work, and AWS Linux is actually based on Red Hat too.
Okay.
So like it you know, if it works in Red Hat, it'll usually work in AWS Linux, and that's pretty much what you're going to be using in AWS, which is the most common. But yeah.
So PC Linux OS.
Never use that.
Okay.
And then you got
OpenSUSE. I've used a little bit. I think
that's more popular in Germany and like Europe.
Well, I think it is. I still like it is a good it's an okay starter one.
Yeah, it is.
Now for me, because Dude Brotherington asked, "What's your favorite distro, bros?" You spelled it wrong first.
I use Pop OS primarily as my go-to for a lot of things.
Favorite.
It's kind of between Pop OS and Cubes OS. And
see, mine Hannah Montana Linux.
That goes without saying.
Exactly. So no, honestly,
but OpenSUSE is a nice one to start with too, but it's more popular in Europe. There is an enterprise version, like it's kind of like the counterpart to Red Hat. They have SLES, SUSE Linux Enterprise, however it stands. But OpenSUSE is the open source version.
Do you have red cups down here?
Yeah, there's red Soul cups over there.
Okay, I'm just grabbing water real quick.
Can you grab me a cup too, if you could,
please?
Sure. The cooler's right there.
Watching this, the PewDiePie, I don't think you can do it drunk.
But yeah, there's a lot of different Ubuntu is a thing. Isn't that the Uwu version of Ubuntu that for the Uwu people?
Well, that's obviously my version.
Of course it would be.
I mean, gotta do it for the Uwu.
SUSE uses a weird package manager. It's not weird. It's actually using apt. It's just the packages are packaged differently. You have to remember, years ago, before, Debian was one of the more popular ones, there was you had Debian, you had SUSE, you had Red Hat, you had all these different distributions, and everyone thought they had a better approach for things. Ubuntu just happened to run straight out ahead of the pack. Zipper is apt. They used to use apt. I haven't used it since they used Zipper, but I remember when I was using it, it was apt. They may have switched over. I haven't used SUSE in years, but every a package manager is a package manager. It's just there to manage packages. It still does it better than Windows. Windows only added winget because of how bad package management was in Windows. Thank you. Here's the thing about Linux when I say it's a lot easier to set up. You can easily start your computer, open up I'm going to use Pop OS as an example. open up the pop shop, install Steam, install whatever browser you need. You know, if you're not using anything other than Firefox out of the box, or you can grab, you know, the .deb or .app image, or you can even flat pack everything, and you can pull everything in. Honestly, from start to finish, after the OS is installed, I can probably set up Linux to where I can just start working on it, excluding the, you know, things like hooking in my NAS and the nuances of things that you would have to do anyway on a Windows box. I'd say about like 20, 30 minutes, you're good to go, wouldn't you say, on a Linux install? Fresh?
Oh, dude, quicker than that.
Yeah.
When I was doing my build, I mean, if I knew what I was doing, and I still did a custom one, actually set up all the
I'm talking about like I flat pack everything. So like
you're talking like full and
like
everything.
fully get it to the workflow
so
I need,
off,
apps, app images, setting up the shortcuts, all that.
I have, well, let me rephrase that. I had a script that did all that. So
yeah.
Mine was a lot quicker when I would, reinstall. The problem is I lost my script.
But that's another thing is you can script it, and you can everything you can do in Linux in a GUI you can do in a script. Whereas in Windows,
you can script.
You can kind of, but
no, you can still. There's a lot of scripts and stuff.
There is, but I'm talking about like a person that isn't a very, you know, power usery type person.
Well, yeah, but that's the same thing for Linux. It's kind of a pain in the ass.
Well, I'm saying you can figure out Bash a lot easier than you can PowerShell.
That's true.
Yeah.
All right.
Let's continue.
I hear people going like, I don't know which one to pick. What do I do? There's so many. Just pick one. It's a wonderful thing that you can choose.
I don't like Snap-on app on
the
Pop.
World is your flavor. Look
I
at
use
all
flat
these
packs
places.
mostly.
I went with Mint because it's the same one that I installed 15 years ago, and I knew that it was beginner friendly and that it still holds up. It very much feels like Windows, just better, okay? You don't even need to touch the scary terminal. If you don't want to, you don't have to. It's okay. You should though. Now, let's jump into my computer really
he even agrees you should learn terminal a little.
Look at that. I'm recording with OBS. Open source is always the best source. Couldn't get Bandicam. They didn't have a Bandicam. I can't believe I paid for that. There's
Bandcamp?
like free versions everywhere.
What's
That's
that?
so much better. Okay. All right. So this is the terminal. You probably heard about it in Linux. Feels a bit strange at the beginning. Let me just show you how it works. But first, wait. Oh, yes, today's sponsor. 3, 2, 1. Wrong! G Fuel!
Okay, he actually did ASCII art for his sponsor. Okay.
I love it.
Okay, I will give him props for that.
You get a free
honestly, he probably hit up G Fuel
which
and
is
said,
an
hey,
amazing deal. If you order $50
if you get some
or
ASCII
more,
art,
highly recommend. It's a
I'll
great
use
deal.
it in the video.
This is probably the best deal you're ever gonna get with G Fuel.
I don't know, you can easily figure out ASCII art. You just get the logo and drop it.
Hold on.
Free and 33.
Yeah. So
Bandcamp is for musicians. Okay.
no, but Bandicam back in the day, remember?
Oh!
Hold on. Not even back in the day. The way you know that you're getting really good tech advice is if you see the Bandicam or the Hypercam logo, the unlicensed version of Bandicam or whatever. And then they have a really heavy accent. You know for sure that's the best tech that your problem that you have is going to be solved.
I guess that's
unregistered Hypercam too. Yes. And it's got that really weird
the
like
funny
font.
thing is there is a follower of mine that actually has that as username.
There you go.
From my early days. It's funny every time they come in.
And off all PewDiePie products if you use the code PewDiePie. This is your final chance. Only get this deal for 7 days, so take the chance now. Don't wait, please. Brofist.
Can they at least give ads for like decent games that won't like?
Thank you. Go to gfuel.com/PewDiePie. Enter code PewDiePie, 33% off. Thank you, G Fuel, for sponsoring this video.
That was a long loading time for that little G Fuel website he had.
And then I had my laptop, which I called Dionysus, because I wanted to mess around with it. Dionysus is the one I really went hard on the rising. But I just wanted to show some terminal commands really quick, just so you get an idea how it works. I talked about this in my last video, but the first thing that really blew my mind with Linux, I just noticed my computer was booting kind of slowly. So I found this command called system deanalyze, and it tells you exactly how long it takes for your computer to actually load and what part takes a certain amount of time. And it used to be like 45 seconds. I was like, dude, this is terrible. So then I found another command called blame, and then you can see exactly what part is kind of slowing down your system, which got me into, like, really optimizing it. And I had so much fun doing that, and it just made me on Windows. If my computer is kind of slow, but mine, you just kind of deal with it. It's like, oh, okay, well, what can you do? On Linux, it's like,
so Bobby's asking why no ad block.
Because if you haven't noticed, when you use an ad block, it will like intentionally buffer those videos forever.
I know.
Yeah.
See, people, it doesn't happen all the time, but it does happen, and people don't understand that's what Google does now.
Yeah.
And it's because they can't beat them, so they're just gonna make it life hell. That's all.
Yeah. And the honest truth is, if you actually were to calculate how much time you're saving from an ad block versus that buffer, you're actually going to lose more time from the buffer.
Exactly.
Yeah, so you may as well just deal with it, go through the 5 seconds, and
the world is your oyster. You can fix it. Personally,
I have Linux, Mint, Cinnamon, Flash,
the second thing that blew my mind with the Linux terminal was just how fast it is at searching. Searching on Windows is so annoying. It takes forever. Sometimes it doesn't even the file.
Yeah. You never can find the right thing either. That pisses me off with my work laptop.
They just Bing it. They're like, oh, you want to search for your file? Oh,
we block Bing at work at least.
You want to look
at So the funny story is, I forgot what attack it was years ago, but like there was an incident where an attacker came into a computer and then used Bing to look up how to disable something. So the running joke in cybersecurity is Bing an IOC, an indicator of compromise. So we actually block Bing at work as a byproduct, but that's because if you block Bing, and I don't know if you've noticed it on my firewall, I do it too, who uses Bing, because if you do search on this enterprise box, it will try going through Bing, but if you block Bing, it doesn't do that. So
I will say this though, with the searching. So if I need to do something with sound, right? Sound setting, right? When you go to the Windows search and you type in that search bar right there, and you type in sound card, sound devices, advanced sound config, I'm like, no, just the main setting first, then all the sub stuff.
And then you can do that in Linux, and it actually pulls up the settings in the sound section.
Yeah.
That's what you want to do. It's like, no.
Hey guys.
Linux, you can find
any
file, whatever you want. This is searching all JPEGs on my computer. That's a bad example, actually. The other thing that I love about it is that you don't have to just search the file.
Output all your files as
text
sound
inside the file. So let's say you forgot
or QR code if you really wanted to. And SHA-256 some easily to check it.
And bada bing, bada boom. What the hell is this? Spotify password text. Balls deep. I did not do that. What? Searching files on Linux is super fast.
So what he probably did is he was grepping it to see what was in the content, and I'm betting they use it as a default to like say, don't use these passwords because it's like, oh, he added them?
Yeah, of course.
I thought it was like a rock you kind of thing. Okay.
No. That was 100%. He added that.
Let me check that.
Yes.
Inside the file. So let's say you fit, and bada bing, bada boom. What the hell is this?
No, that's a cache.
Yeah, he added all that as password.
Oh.
Yeah.
Spotify password.
I don't use Spotify, so
balls
I do.
Deep.
I love
it. Not do that.
I'm a heathen and use Apple Music on a
Searching
Linux
files
box.
on Linux is super fast.
But I also don't save my passwords.
How it should be on a computer.
Neither do I.
The most obvious
I do,
thing
but
with the
just not like
terminal
plain
is
text.
that let's say you install the operating system and you need to
you didn't notice it was all various balls.
The programs that you want to use on it. Usually
he's so used to balls that they don't phase him anymore.
Go to the download page, dodge all the fake ads and all that crap. And do that and install and run each one, wait for it to install, yada yada. It takes forever. On Linux, you just
with Windows.
Sudo apt install, what do we want?
Thank you for the follows, Freeman Vegeta.
Firefox, OBS Studio, boom.
That is one thing I like because you can only install one app at a time. Since
but some stuff you also have to add their repo.
Right.
Like,
But-
remember,
Soaking
Brave
in
was
with my
like that for a
brain.
while.
There's
They
so
were.
much you can do with the terminal. It's
Now
insanely
you can-
powerful.
But
now
you
it's
can
all
still
flat
chain the
back.
command.
But I
You
don't
can,
wanna
you
keep this
can,
too
but
long-winded. And in
you have to
reality, I
go
just
to,
wanna
like,
show
their
you my
site and
Rise
get-
on my
and you
laptop,
can't
to be
just
honest.
sudo
That's the whole
app
reason I'm making
Brave
this video.
browser.
Right. But now Brave is a flat pack,
Yes.
so you
Now
can
you can.
easily,
Honestly,
do
I
it that
stopped-
way.
I
had
stopped
this old
like a lot of
laptop.
stuff. I
mean, it's
don't
not
really
that
get
old,
flat
but I
packs
just
anymore.
never used it because
Because
I
most
didn't
of the
really
flat
like
packs have
using
issues
it.
now.
I mentioned before there's
Lucas is
many
like that.
distros
Yeah.
of Linux, and I wanted to try one called.
He got the GNU like over there, and he like totally different list over here. So let's see. He's okay. This one's a little bit more organized to tell you like the
Well,
different
yeah,
like
yeah, it's all whatever
families.
the subsects of it. Like Debian and Ubuntu, there's Pop OS in there,
Yeah.
Tails, Kali.
Put cubes in the Debian Ubuntu. The cubes is kind of its own thing because it uses Zen hypervisor.
Yeah, but it is based
No, it's not.
very, very loosely.
No, it's not.
Are you sure?
Yeah, it's Zen hypervisor that allows you to use Debian or Fedora. You pick which one you want when you install it.
Okay.
I happen to set mine up to use Debian, and then you can have everything because
Well, that's why, because it's an option.
it's like Proxmox basically.
That's
but
why
for
it's
less-
in Fedora too.
Is it? No, it's not.
I know. Fuck with you.
Read between the lines.
Partially because of the meme. It's kind of become a meme because it's a little difficult to
He
install
does look like an Arch
so It's
user.
like a flex to use it. For some reason, I went on a god run and I had no issue. I always get stuck on the dumbest ever for like 12 hours.
Oh,
I
yeah.
don't know what happened
Yeah.
that time. But I also wanted to download Arch because it's a minimalist.
To be fair,
distro.
Arch is a lot
Whatever
easier
you
now
put,
because
or
Valve
at
is
least 90%
investing
of it
so much
is
into
there
Arch.
because
Super
you decided to put it
hardcore
there. And it's
is
also
A-Arch.
very highly customizable, which are two elements that I love, so I knew I was gonna love it. All right, let's go into my laptop. I think it makes sense for me to show it without any customization first because it just be confusing, and I need to talk to people that aren't having.
Saying Arch without customization is a misnomer because every time you install Arch, you're
You
customizing it
Yep.
because there is no like base Arch install. The common misconception there because part of your install is picking your desktop environment, your initialization environment. Like, do you want to use systemd or initd? It's very customizable. All the packages are binary. The only one that goes a little bit more extreme than that is Gen 2, which compiles everything from source. Technically, it makes it faster, but you're recompiling everything, so...
Use Linux. My first favorite thing, which I have on Mint as well, is just shortcuts on my keyboard to open programs. Open terminal, open file manager, open browser, close it, whatever, it's all there. It's such a nice workflow and have a more keyboard-centric way of using your computer, especially on a laptop.
I
But even in
installed
general,
Garuda
you know,
Cosmic.
the
Well,
whole,
Cosmic's still
okay,
in like
click on the
alpha
start
beta, and that's
menu
System
and just find
76's
the
own
thing.
thing.
If I
It's
don't
not
have a
ready
keybind,
for,
I can open Rofi, and
production yet.
Just search for it.
That's why I still don't
and
run
open
it yet.
I don't
I
know
like
to
it. I played
explain
with it.
things as well, but yeah, this is my terminal on this setup. I'm using Alacrity, and this is NeoFetch, which shows my specs.
Yep.
And usually people have an ASCII art. It sounds like I'm saying ASCII. ASCII, I'll call it ASCII, of their distro. And if you saw my Mint one earlier, I was like, oh, it wouldn't be cool if I do like my own custom ASCII. And then I thought, oh, wouldn't it be cool if I do my own animated ASCII? So I figured out how to do that.
Now I know how the GIF versus GIF people feel. I understand their pain.
ASCII art.
It is GIF, though, just for anyone.
Yeah.
But
A little bit
That's
of
peanut butter.
tinkering
Yeah.
and schminkering, but it's just so nice to look at. I love it. So I'm running Hyperland, which is this beautiful tile manager. It automatically sorts it for me. Whenever I
Hyperland
open
is
something.
interesting,
This
but
is such
I
a
just...
nice workflow,
like
and I can
moving
close it
things
all as
around.
well.
Oh yeah.
You can literally open these until infinite.
But that's the beautiful
When
thing
you're
about
on a laptop, when you have limited
Linux is you
screen
can
space, it's
make it
such a
flow
great
however
way
you
to work
want.
with it. It's the fact that they're always
Wonder if
there
you got
means I
into
never have to
Universal
look for them
I
because I
never-
know they're there.
I've
And if
tried-
my
I've
workspace
I
is
tried
use
full,
it every
I
so
can look at
often,
this.
but I
Walk
still
through
would
it.
rather have multiple monitors
This
and
is
just...
Oh, yeah.
workspace number 2.
I
And
used
The
it.
problem is
Well, you
ADHD.
can
Like,
use
once
it
it's out of
with
sight,
multiple
it's
monitors.
out of mind.
Let's say I'm working on
Yeah.
a project.
That's the
pretty much
problem.
On workspace 1.
I will
can then work on
forget an
another
entire
thing on
workspace is
workspace
there.
2, and go back and
I
forth.
forgot
vice
entire
versa
virtual machines were
instantly.
running when I went to go
love
play
this
video
way
games,
of
so-
using a
Oh,
computer.
yeah.
It's so sick.
Oh, I remember
The
that.
first
You're like,
thing
oh,
I
I'm
really
playing this
loved
and I'm
about
running a
this Arch
Yeah,
Hyperland
what?
setup was just how quick and smooth it looks. At least, you know, like boom.
Like,
open,
even the
it's so
snapping
nice.
of this is
But
better
I
than
open my
Windows
browser
10,
and it's
11
like,
Oh, yeah.
with snapping windows.
Oh, you see that? Ew. Again. Oh, that took forever. And it loads so ugly. So my first thought, okay, well, maybe I can upgrade my SSD to make it snappier and quicker. But then I thought, I'm on Linux. I can do whatever I want. So let's run a time here, Firefox. Let's ignore the CSS errors. I tinkered a bit too much. Don't worry about it. What was that? 2 seconds? Not good enough. So I figured out a way, and it's so dumb. I won't explain how I did it, but the fact that I was able to do it, boom, instant. Boom, 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 boom! I love it.
That is one of the beautiful things about like Linux versus Windows is Windows, when things just slow, it's just like you kind of just gotta roll with it if it's like an update mess things up. Whereas Linux, you can actually dive into it to figure out, okay, why is it slow? Customize it, put a cache. Oh, you want to make your RAM slightly faster? You can do ZRAM. Hell, if you want, you can. If you have a lot of memory, you can technically do this in Windows, but in Linux, you need less tools to do it. You can make an entire like SSD in your memory, you know, and it runs super fast. Although it'll wipe out every reboot, but.
Yeah. It's these small things that makes you really fall in love with using Linux. Anyway, the first thing I customized was Waybar. Oh, I forgot to say I can move around as well if I want to. Anyway, and move them to a different workspace. So yeah, this is my taskbar.
Using workspaces.
It's like the Windows taskbar, except you decide exactly what's on it and customizing it. I put calendar, turn it on and off. Internet, Bluetooth, quick access to all these
things,
it
looks interesting. It just ain't my jive.
It's basically just tells me if I'm connected to NordVPN or not, and I can toggle on it. And it tells me which country I'm connected to. Up here, it shows.
I get it, but NordVPN.
I have these reactors in the background. I thought
they were so bad. You know the situation with NordVPN a few years ago, right?
Yeah.
They got compromised. It wasn't a serious issue, but it was the way that they wouldn't even disclose it, and they had to get pressured by the security researcher. And then after that, I was like, look, I don't care if it was a major issue. That yes, it was a pretty easy fix. It's the fact that you were not ethical about your disclosure about the issue.
Oh, yeah.
That is what bothered me. And I know it was a few years ago, but it's one of those things like maybe they can redeem themselves, but I'm not saying this because I'm affiliated with Proton. I'd still rather use Proton or Molvad. Either one of those, but Molvad isn't as great for like everyday use. It's great for privacy aspects but things. But yeah, anyway.
Each workspace was each reactor. I'm on reactor A. There's reactor B, C.
And just a reminder, you don't need to use a VPN. I only use mine when I travel and need different geolocation.
I keep saying ASCII, which is ASCII.
That's because it's what it's called.
Volume. And you know, look, if my volume goes too low, it gets red. It's critical.
I mean, if that's your vibe.
Just to really LARP the whole nuclear reactor.
But you can customize it any way you want. Now,
I like it.
Remember when we used to use Windows, we had to install Stardock and get it customized to do a lot of this stuff? But we had to, like, pay for that. Whereas in Linux, it's just a matter of a little bit of time, tinker, boom, done.
Yeah, but see, people don't like time anymore. People just want it now.
All right, the second thing I did was making widgets with ew. Ew was a nightmare. I'm not gonna lie.
Here
we go. Let me also change the wallpaper really quick. One second. All right, so this is my desktop. Let me play some music actually.
Interesting layout. Play some music. Plays an ad.
Good music. Wow, you put your own music in it.
It's the same ad too, if you notice.
So first I added this visualizer because I just saw a lot of people doing it. It's using Kava, but I changed it again with ASCII.
What is it visualizing? The audio?
So it looks a little more Matrix and hackery. Here we have my uptime, just how long it's been running, and how much until my battery is out. I should probably charge my laptop. CPU temp, I should probably change, cool it down a bit. All of this is, it changes. It's not just like
your GPU flare. Is a little hot there, and CPU
load,
is,
which changes, RAM usage, storage. This tells me which workspace I'm on. So right now I'm on reactor B. Power consumption, completely useless, but I needed it to look cool. And then we have my 2 fans for CPU and GPU, and then this little spinny fan thing to show it. Upload and download, latency, and then just another VPN thing. It's kind of pointless. And then basic weather. And then finally, to make it sort of all work together,
I just want to point out he's using metric too. So this guy, when he came into my house, he looks at my thermostat, and what was it like? It's
no,
not
all right,
21,
hold on. First off, I had woken up and I was like, Chief was up, and he walked by the room, and we were talking, and I walked out, and I looked, and he's got the Nest thermostat, but on the wall, I'm like, that like a little clock, and I'm like, that's a weird time. It's 21:20 or 20:21. I'm like, or no, 21:20. Like it's not 9:20. Because I use 24-hour clock all the
I do
time.
too.
I don't use no Windows right there. That's just PM. That's
I don't pay
24.
attention to that. It's Windows. It's just
So I'm just busting your job. So anyway, yeah, no, I was like, oh, okay. Well, I was like, wait, that clock's off. And then I looked and I saw hot, cold, all that. I was like, oh, he uses Celsius. You know who else uses Celsius?
the rest of the civilized world.
No. All the less cool people and countries. That's who uses Celsius.
Well, yeah, they're less cool because
I
you
know.
know they don't live in the humid butthole of America like we do.
No. I
You're from
live in the
Jersey.
armpit. You're
Okay.
the butthole. You're in the middle.
Some people like to eat ass.
Nobody likes to eat it. Ohio.
What certs from CompTIA do you recommend? So I've actually gone through this in a prior video, not too long ago. It's why you're what is it? The truth about certs, why your resume is being ignored, something like that. It's on YouTube. Definitely check that out. It talks about some of the certs, but it also talks about that you shouldn't focus too much on certs. So definitely check that out.
Automod.
Oh yeah, Automod.
Who was it? Oh, yeah. Thank
Hello, butthole.
A
He does.
script that basically scans.
I tell
if
you
I'm
what, it's a
using
really pretty
window.
butthole.
So if I open or close, it sort of transitions in and
Very
out of
well
Waybar
groomed.
because I don't need
Just
it
get
on
my butthole
both. That's
tattooed.
just like too much information in my
Ohio.
opinion. So this is on my desktop.
One of the
It's just a nice
is all.
vibe here. We just chill over here, and then when I'm in workflow, it blackens it all
But,
out.
Ohio.
And I can just get going on my schwingy thingy. Oh, and in
Wouldn't
the
that be
middle here, the
Ohio?
I forgot to
No,
say
no,
that
no,
it
no,
has
that's
power
Japanese.
profiles my laptop,
That's
so
hello.
I thought it'd be cool to change them. It's silence.
Any particular
balance,
opinions on
or,
Hyperland? It's good, but I've also heard configuring is a pain. I've played with it a little bit, but I'm of the personality of like, look, I just need it to look good enough and then use my application. So if it's your bag, sure. For me, I like the Pop OS GUI out of the box, and I can't wait for Cosmic. I kind of like the Mac Lake aesthetic because it came from Mac, but yeah.
I just want to say, okay, I am not being convinced to move here. I would love to,
I was gonna
but
say that
if I
sounds like
can make as
propaganda.
much as I am now and live here, I would.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But construction in Ohio,
Does not pay as well.
no, not just that. But I lose brain cells when I drive by the job site.
Oh yeah. Why do you think I stopped being an electrician years ago and went back to tech?
I'm talking like highway construction.
Oh,
It's bad.
I know.
It also
Power
costs
mode?
a lot more. Oh yeah, of course it costs a lot to live in Jersey.
but I changed it to Razgon, which means overclock. You see my fans are spinning, and these are faster as well because the fans are spinning more. This is so sick to me because
I can
I'm
just look at
remembering
my
what this
fan. I
laptop
don't
used
know
to
why I
be
need
running
that.
Windows.
I know that one's
I
not
never
spinning.
wanted to
That's
use
not
it. I
spinning, it's
hated
broken.
it. Now it
It's
went
just
from
I gotta go into the
hardware
BIOS
that I
and
never
tweak
it. No,
used
it's
to my
been
favorite
sometime.
piece of hardware because it not
It's
just
the
looks
heat.
great, it
Yeah.
runs great.
Yeah, I
It's
just
the
don't have them
heat, yep.
tied to all
Love
that.
it. It's so sick. I had so much fun customizing this. It was just a blast. Yeah, I hope you guys appreciate it as well. I've been doing so much more. I built this camera as well. Like I mentioned earlier, you can communicate with Linux even without a graphical user interface GUI. That made me so excited because I'm like, wait, that means I can use other computers at my disposal.
Yup.
For some reason, to me, that's just like really cool. And I wanted to try what I could do with it. I want to show this in another video maybe because I feel like it's too much yapping. But my point is, I've been having so much fun.
I'm
Just
waiting for like the
tinkering,
next video to come
messing
out and it'll be like,
around,
so I set up
feeling like
PF and I got a home lab. I got a
But
42U
I gotta be
rack,
real
and here's
as
my
well.
prox
Linux
box.
is not
And
perfect.
I've also
There's
gotten
a
into
lot of
Docker.
issues.
Yeah.
An example is
There's
again,
a
my
Docker
laptop.
container for that.
When I
Yeah.
first installed Arch,
Before you know it, he's
none
like
of
showing
my
off Portainer.
keys worked. Actually, sorry, 3 out of 12 worked out of the box. So I had spent a long time bringing them back to life. For me, it was kind of fun.
That-
I was like,
That is one of the genuinely nice things about Linux, because like you ever noticed like Windows and even some Mac users, they will dispose of their old computer.
Yeah.
Whereas like Linux people, like look over there, there's like several laptops over here.
Oh yeah.
And I don't throw them away. It's just like I could throw a new drive in that and just do whatever I want with it.
Well, I mean, no, like I use my old system for a sim rig downstairs, but that's not everybody's gonna do that. Like you said, a lot of people are like, oh, okay, this is old, outdated, throw it away. Get the new one because this one got a little slower.
Yeah, like I still got like do you know the story about this little netbook here? That was so back in the day.
Oh,
Remember, like this
Yep.
was the Bitcoin hardware wallet I
yes.
did before Ledger came out,
Yep.
and this is what I did, kind of like as a cold storage of sorts before hardware wallets existed. When I wasn't using paper wallets and all that. But like this laptop, I can still like I think there's still a good SSD in here, and like I can use it for like, oh, okay, I'm gonna just plug it into my network and do some tinkering. I might need a new battery,
Yeah.
but like that's the great thing. And this is a tiny netbook. I think it's like got what a dual core CPU in here. It's like nothing to write home
Just
about, but
basic shit.
I can, use it for a little thing. I can give it to one of my nieces when they come over and they're like, "Hey, I just want to like put like Minecraft or something on it." Won't do anything like super high end, but I
Yeah.
can at least, keep them occupied. So
got another one working. Like, okay, let's move on to the next one. But I can imagine for a lot of people that just want things to work, maybe this is not for you. And maybe it should work, I think since Linux is not as popular on desktop as Windows or Mac, this is just the reality. There's just not enough support for it. On Linux, if something doesn't work, it's kind of up to you to fix it. And yeah, that's just how it is. I was trying to update my drivers for my GPU, and I got a black screen 6 times, and I had to do a hard restore every time. It's not the most fun thing in the world. There are other things I could rather be doing, which is why I need
Depends
you
on
to
how
install
he's doing
Linux. So
it,
the
though.
more people we can get together, the better Linux becomes.
with Arch, you
And
definitely
I
have
get
those
it now.
issues
Like
more.
that's why people were
Yeah.
so excited about me using Linux, because Linux is not a product; it's a platform, and it also already exists everywhere.
It's a way of life.
NASA, SpaceX, it runs on Linux. All the supercomputers, your TV, your smart fridge, your phone,
Well-
it's Android.
Not all smart fridges are, because some are running. I think Tizen is a little bit different. The Samsung Tizen. Have
Yeah.
you've played with that?
Um,
I think it's
L-
like Linux
really?
like, but it's not really the same.
Yeah.
If I'm not
I
mistaken,
think it's just based Unix.
I think so.
Um,
I haven't played with it too much, but I know it's different.
Yeah.
But then again, I don't have
the
Samsung
people
appliances because
don't,
I
like-
value my kitchen.
See, the thing is this, right? At the end of the day, this is the reality. Majority of people just like, so for example, I was having this talk with a friend of mine earlier today,
Mhm.
right? He's got a lot on his plate,
Mm-hmm.
right? And he, when he gets back, well, I mean, this was his friend, but like, so he said this. He's like, I'm done at work. I want to go home, sit down, and just do this.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to come home and then go, oh, these things broke. I gotta fix them. Like like honestly, I I can I cannot tell you how many people I know who come home, just sit down, pick up the controller for the PlayStation or Xbox, kick back, and then just start playing.
Mhm.
Right? That's it. That's all they want to. They don't want to. They don't want to have to go and like.
And I
They
can
have this
relate to that. That's the
preconception,
big
like-
reason why I use Pop OS is I want to know when I come home after doing all these cybersecurity issues and
Yeah.
all the work at home, I
Just
can
sit
have a
down,
Linux,
yeah.
just sit down, do
But-
my thing, and when there are issues, they're so minor.
But like this does break that a lot because like he really went into depth and people are like, well, if I want to customize it that much on Windows, like there's, like honestly, you go on Steam,
Mhm.
like go, when we finish this, go on Steam.
All right.
There's a dozen programs you can get that add functionalities to Windows. People would rather pay for those
Mhm.
than figure out how to do it for free on Linux.
But I think they've also done a survey that they showed the majority of people even using Linux don't customize their desktop.
They don't. But there's a good number of people that are like, well, I like in Windows, I don't, maybe people in here do. Rain meter. Remember that?
Oh yeah.
So rain meter was a that was a customization thing. So like you could literally have that do like almost anything.
Mm-hmm.
And like I remember there was like a Jarvis thing
Okay.
where the inside was like any audio that was playing on.
VTuber says they still use rain meter.
There you go, see? But like the one I had set up was the center of it was like a Jarvis like speech bubble, right? It would like like it would propagate as like he was it would like spin down, but that was the center. Then each out like it had like all these like little arms, and some of them were like volume.
Mm-hmm.
Some were like battery power, some were CPU, memory usage, temperatures, all that. And it was all around, so they were all like moving in and out
Mm-hmm.
and like doing all like little shit. But like that was really cool. Doing that on Linux a lot sometimes. And like Rain Meter was a lot.
Yeah.
But like there was like a lot of pre-made stuff.
Yeah.
And there's pre-made stuff for Linux, but like
you also have to like, oh, are you using X11? Are you using
exactly, and people don't
what's the
like
one?
that. The problem with Linux is there's too many options sometimes.
It can be overwhelming.
Well,
That's why I tell a lot of people like when they're like, what distro should I use? I'm like, the one you like.
well, and that's the problem. I think like so if we get a good Linux that ends up being popular enough to like rival Mac OS or Windows, it has to be paid
They're just talking about Red Hat.
for regular users, because
Well,
you have to have.
Here's the double-edged sword of
But-
paid for is like,
well,
if you
I
pay
know.
for it, then because you'll have the Windows users like, I don't pay for Windows.
So well, they do.
They do, but they don't realize it.
Yeah,
That's the
so-
problem.
But like when you build your own PC, you pay for Windows.
You do, or
but-
you should.
You know what? Actually, okay, I'll do this. I installed Windows on my sim rig downstairs because it's easier. I
Mhm.
don't have to deal with drivers for Fanatec.
It's the same thing as what I use 10
iRacing-
Enterprise over here.
iRacing will boot you for running Linux.
Yeah.
Just the way their anti-cheat and all work.
Mhm.
They will boot you. So, anyway, I use it for that. So, I was having a pain in his time trying to find my old key for Windows.
Mhm.
So I just said, screw it. I'll get a key. So I searched around for a key. Pain. I was like, all right, you know what? Screw it. I'm just going to buy Windows.
Yeah.
So, $120 later. Okay. I
Not
bought
the
Windows.
OEM. Oh, OEM Pro.
So I bought it.
Yeah.
It still said activate Windows.
Oh yeah.
So I restarted Windows. Still said activate Windows. And I was like, I looked, they charged me for it. I looked in
I've
Windows.
seen that bug.
Huh?
I've seen that bug.
And I'm like, what the heck? So every now and then it'll say activate Windows. And then other times it's like, no, you have a valid version of Windows. I'm like, awesome. So that's a fun thing. I paid for the Windows legitimately, and Windows is like, oh, you paid for it. This time we don't think you did. Next time you did pay for it.
See, that's why I like Enterprise, because I have an Enterprise from a volume license. I
Yup.
literally have the 25 character key I put in
Yeah.
when I install it. I like that for that reason, because I've had the same key since 7 Enterprise.
So I had the same thing for me was I had it since 7, but now I don't know where the key went. So I don't know what the key is. So I lost it. But
I could
And-
signal you mine if you ever need an Enterprise key. Just hit me up and
Yeah.
just don't share it.
you know, I was looking for I was gonna sell it.
Well,
No, I was
because that volume license is to me, so
No,
you know.
I know. Honestly, I was looking, and For the one for my six
Mm-hmm.
620 I have downstairs, I was looking at doing Windows workstation,
Mm-hmm.
but that's $200.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm good. Never mind.
Yeah. Well, the way I got my keys is, are you familiar with MSDN?
Yeah.
The
Mhm.
Microsoft Service Developer
Yeah,
Network?
yeah.
So I had a subscription for them back in the day when I was in the MSP. So those keys, once you activate them, they stay good in
Yeah.
perpetuity. So I've just been using that same key ever since,
I got
and
you.
they haven't dinged me on it because
It's yeah,
it's mine. It's a volume license.
Yeah.
Like, I'm technically allowed to have it on 10 machines at any given time.
Okay.
But
Yeah,
they
no.
don't. But like, Microsoft doesn't do volume checks, on it, because like I don't have a physical address tied to it. So,
Yeah.
but it's there for like people who test and all that.
I
I'm like, look,
gotcha.
I only have like 3 VMs at any time, so just hit me up.
Alright.
I mean, yeah.
It's all Linux, baby. I think it's just so cool the fact that this all happened because one Finnish guy in like the 90s just decided, hey, I can write
91, baby.
Finnish naivety, typical Finnish
Must be
behavior.
like
They think
Freaks
they
or
can
Free
do
X or
anything.
something like that.
But without that, things would
Thank
have been
God they
very
didn't go with
different.
that
At
name.
least there wouldn't be an alternative. And I just think it's so cool that people saw what it did, got excited, and wanted to join in. So please consider joining in. Now, if you're even just a little bit curious, I recommend trying Linux. Maybe try dual booting it if you're not sure. You can still keep your Windows.
I understand where he's going at with that, but I don't think he's been using it long enough to see the downsides of dual booting. So Darko
No. That's actually the proper way to do it though.
What?
Using the fucking Windows bootloader. It sucks. But that is the right way to do it.
Yeah, but
it's just
bully on the playground.
Yeah. But no, if you do it that way, it's actually a lot smoother. And updating Windows isn't going to ruin it. But
like it did when I took a crap one day and then I had to reinstall my entire Pop OS because it nuked the bootloader so hard, and I spent 3 hours, and at that point it was just live CD, yank all what I needed, reinstall, do it. It worked out for the best because I was moving everything to flat packs anyway, so.
There you go.
Or whatever, you're gonna kill it later. You might as well kill it now. Test it out, break it, get upset. On Linux, I feel alive at last, at long last. Thank you for watching. Let me just type out my goodbyes.
Oh.
No.
I was kind of actually really surprised that he didn't do, Cow Say or Lolcat.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's honestly, it was good. Like, he really went into like heavily into depth in it. Honestly, the only downside is this, right? So this is the only thing like I normally say with like a lot of your Linux videos that you do, like starter Linux stuff, is you get like sometimes people get like really into it and then they over describe stuff. And like what he did, where it's like honestly like a lot of that was like a much more advanced user thing, right?
Yeah.
Now he was showing the benefits of it, but that scares the crap out of some people because they're like, I don't know.
I don't want to do that, and I tell people all the time, like, you don't have to. You can just.
Yeah, but that's the problem is that like when you tell them you can do that, they assume you have to, because you got to remember, people are stupid.
Yeah, the average person.
Exactly.
Even Men in Black called it out. What was it they said? A person is dumb, fearful, and ignorant. Like that. Yeah.
Exactly. So but honestly, one of the big things I can say is that, like, whenever I try to tell people like about Linux, using Linux, is listen. Can you use Windows? Yeah. Can you use your phone? Yeah. Can you use, like, when you're scrolling through, can you use your TV? They're like, yeah. I'm like, then you can use Linux. Yeah. You just install it. And
it's
then
nowhere near as difficult as it used to be. Like, I remember when I was first using it,
you had to build everything. You had to compile your shit.
You had to
like,
compile things. Oh, my printer doesn't work. Oh, my wireless card doesn't work. Oh, I have to grab the driver.
Much stuff is just in the kernel now.
Yeah. Like everybody's like, well, how do you install an AMD driver? Like, I remember I had people, I'm like,
don't have to.
do you have Linux installed? Yeah. It's already there. It's in the kernel. I'm like, what about NVIDIA? Okay, that one, you can either use the free Nouveau driver or you can use a proprietary one. And the proprietary drivers from Linux for NVIDIA aren't that bad anymore. They did just open source some components too.
Yeah. Have you tried?
Tried Shadow PC on Linux? No.
I don't.
Is that like Shadow clone on Windows, or I'm not
Shadow
familiar.
Clone.
I don't know. Hold on. Let's see.
All right. Well, hold on. You're not sharing it, right?
No, I'm not sharing.
Because this could be something dirty. Shadow PC Cloud Gaming. Oh.
Oh.
So, all right. Hold on. So I was actually talking to my buddy about this.
Uh-huh.
So, all right, this is one. Windows does this too, right? With Xbox Game Pass, you can actually play games on the go. You can actually do them on your phone.
Right.
Do it on Linux too.
Oh, you can?
It takes some work. You can get it running on Linux, and you can actually play games in the cloud, stream to your Linux PC. It's cloud game, like where it plays on a server, and then it gets streamed to your.
Like the times I've been taking a dump and stream a game on my laptop from my desktop.
Except this goes to their servers.
Okay.
Played there, and then so that's a feature through like Xbox Game Pass, I think. And then what happens is like you could do it on your phone. Like I actually did that before, playing like certain games on my phone. It's kind of fun. It's really stupid unless you have that little controller.
Yeah.
But now honestly, I think that's if we find something. I don't know how this works. But because you have
also
to
depends on the game you're playing, I guess, when you're doing cloud gaming.
No. Browser. So what happens is you have to submit all of the inputs from your system through the browser to the server.
Okay.
Some browsers don't like doing that in Linux. They will not find game controllers, keyboards, mice to submit the input through.
Is it a permissions issue, or is it a...
I tried some of the permission stuff. Now, this... Aha!
I looked at you like, what?